2 days previously, I had tried 20 mg 2-CT7 along with some 1,4-Butanediol, weed and nitrous with only mild results. Having that under my belt, I decided that 30 mg of 2-Cort7 should not be a problem. 9 a.m., T+0 I wake up, put on the Howard Stern radio show, and gulp down 30 mg of 2-CT7 I had dissolved in orange juice the night before. 9:30, T+0:30. I begin to feel a slight pressure in the back of my head, and remember this as being the first symptom I experienced in my last experiment. No other sensations noted. 9:55, T+0:55. The pressure in my head has increased to the point of being moderately uncomfortable, and is now accompanied by a mild buzzing sensation in my chest, similar in some ways to 2CB. I find myself staring off at the walls, which begin to breathe slightly, and the marks on the wall take on a plastic LSD-like look to them. 10:15, T+1:15. I find myself laughing uncontrollably to most of Howard's jokes and am having a good time, despite some mild nausea. Staring at my arm and looking off to the wall, the visuals have become much more apparent, and look like a mix between visuals I would get on LSD and 2CB. The pressure in my head and the general uneasiness seems to be subsiding somewhat, allowing me to concentrate on the material's psychedelic component instead of the body load. 10:25 to 10:45, T+125 to 145. Things have gone from a nice trippy climb, back to focusing on the body load. The nausea has gotten a lot worse and it is impossible to ignore. Reminds me of the nausea I get on DXM, except my stomach doesn't feel so heavy. I figure that 2-Cort7 for breakfast isn't the best thing I could have done, so I microwave myself some rice, since my appetite has not been affected, and it looks like just the thing to settle my stomach. I have a few bites, and since the nausea is becoming really unsettling, I take 2 tablespoons of Pepto-Bismol in hopes of settling my stomach. I lay on my side for about 10 minutes, trying to drown out the nausea with some of Howard's jokes. 10:55, T+155. Vomiting is inescapable, so I run to a sink and spend the next 5 minutes violently vomiting the soul. I wash up, and while washing out my mouth notice small traces of blood which seem to have oriented from my esophagus contracting so hard. A few minutes later, the nausea seems to have subsided, but I wonder if it was worth the effort. 11 o'clock, T+2 o'clock. I decide to try and get the experiment back on track. I take out my cracker and fill up a balloon with nitrous. I slowly take in the sweet air, and suddenly become very content. I lack any concern for my surroundings, and am brought to a land where my thoughts seem to flow easily in all directions, and I am impressed by the colorful fractals which I see. I slowly come back to reality, but everything has shifted a few degrees into the psychedelic zone. 11:05 to 11:15, T+2:05 to 2:15. My mood has greatly improved, and I seem to have overcome the strong and unpleasant body load which I was previously experiencing. I fire up my bowl and take a few hits of some weed. Any trace nausea is finally gone. Sadly Howard leaves the air, so I put on the Webster Hall CD and fire up a few more whippets, each time being fired off into a realm of fantasy thought and strong LSD-like visuals and thought. During this period I feel the 2-Cort7 really kicking in and prepare for a strong ride. 11:25, T+2:25. I look at the clock and see that 10 minutes has disappeared since my last whippet. There is now a really strong stoning sensation, accompanied by an energy in my chest which I decide to try to shake off by walking around the house. I get up and notice a lot of disorientation and lack of coordination, so I lay back down and re-enter my realm of techno-music trance and become overtaken by the strong open-eye visuals and visions that appear when I close my eyes. I feel some spiritual presence, and the general tone is very similar to a strong LSD trip. I feel my ego slowly drifting away, and prepare for a rough ride. 11:45, T+2:45. After a few more whippets, and a strong unpleasant neutral tone, I decide 1.5 milliliters of 1,4 should lift my spirits, so I stagger into the kitchen and 1.5 milliliters of 1,4 goes down the hatch. I should note that there is not a lose of balance, but a disconnection from my body into the mind, which makes concentrating on my movements difficult. I walk back into my room, turn up the music and lay down and re-enter my trance in which thoughts along with colors and sounds intertwine and take me to a place far removed from reality. I realize that I am still coming up, so I have a few more whippets and settle comfortably into a realm of fantasy and a gradual move into a totally foreign land of sense and thought. 12:10, T+3:10. My thoughts have become really jumbled and I now truly appreciate the experience known as synesthesia. The trip has left its LSD-like stage and has entered its own fantastic plane of sight and sound. I see the music join waves of color and the two senses appear to be joined into a single linear plane in which the two senses appear to be the same. 12:25 to 1 o'clock, T+3:25 to 4 o'clock. Time seems to be moving unbelievably slowly, and I feel the 1:4 kicking in from before, and like the mood lift, so I take another 2 milliliters. I have just about finished the whippets, and my body now seems to be joined with the rest of my house, and seems rather one-dimensional and more like a container of energy than any sort of tangible object. Amazingly, I have a burst of energy and start dancing my way up to the shower, stop at the computer, spend 10 minutes fumbling around with my email and head back up to the shower, immersed in a world of flowing colors, sounds and thought. I jump in the shower, take a couple of hits and continue bathing. My memory becomes impaired by now, and I find concentrating on the experience difficult. I find myself in a world defined by thought, fantastic color, sound and an indescribable energy which I seem to be able to tap into at any time. I simply concentrate and move my body to the rhythmic energy which seems to make up and define the entire universe. I get out of the shower, and due to my inability to judge time properly I have between 2 to 3 milliliters of 1,4-Butanediol again. I try and play a CD in the living room player but am too confused and disoriented to work the CD player. 1 o'clock to 2:20, T+4 o'clock to 5:20. I lay downstairs on the couch, just trying to control this serious mindfuck, but find my mind drifting off into nothingness. I hear the phone ringing but am too fucked up to even recognize it as a phone. I pass out and wake up to my brother who has come home and is wondering what the hell I am doing on the couch passed out with all the windows open in the middle of a cold snap. Luckily I left my bowl in my bedroom and spend the next 10 minutes readjusting to my surroundings, with the trip completely gone. I get occasional visual disturbances in my peripheral vision, but am otherwise at a +1 at the most. I am very surprised since in Pikul Shulgin describes the duration from 8 to 15 hours. I spent the rest of the day loafing around, more than usual, and easily fall asleep that night. I think I did way too much as it was easily one of the strongest trips I have ever had. There was a strong body load to overcome, and the trip wasn't exactly happy, but more just a reality shift. I'm not sure how soon I'll repeat the experiment, and if I do I might introduce some MDMA and I will definitely drop the dose to 23 to 25 milligrams. All in all, a learning experience.